All right, well, let's get this party on the road here. So thanks for joining us tonight. My name's Mark Horner with Fairhaven Wealth Management, and we've got with us tonight Bobby Sylvester from Empower, Illinois. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the Invest in Kids Act, which is near and dear to my heart. Bobby showed me the light on the Invest in Kids Act just earlier this year. And it was on an event like this where I tuned in and I was working on something else and sort of half paying attention as he was going through how the program worked. And I heard in the background made me do a double take, stop what I was working on. And when there was a break for questions, I jumped in and I said something. Bobby, correct me if your memory on this is different, but I said something along the lines of, Bobby, you have to go through what you said just one more time because it just sounds too good to be true. Am I close?
Yes, and that's actually fairly common. So you were not alone in having that experience.
No, I appreciate you letting me off the hook. I am a little professionally embarrassed to say that after being a financial advisor for 20 plus years, I don't have everything figured out. So I got my ego put in check, but it was just incredible to learn about. I think if anybody here tonight or watching the recording, which we're going to put the recording up on our website and our YouTube channel, and encourage you to share that with anybody in your own network. But it's just an incredibly powerful financial planning tool. So as always with the formats of our events, they're meant to be interactive. I'm going to be monitoring the chat room. And so we encourage you to put questions in the chat room, and we'll try and handle those as those pop up. And then Bobby and I are just going to go back and forth a little bit as we move through. So a few of the terms that you might hear tonight here are about tax credit scholarships. So that's different than tax deductions, scholarship granting organizations, and the different roles that they play within the Invest in Kids Act. Before we get into the act itself, I have to do a little bragging on our team here. For those of you that don't know Fairhaven, this is what the roster looks like right now, and this has been a big year for us. So in 2022, we were named to the best places to work list in the state of Illinois. Actually, we finished number 3 for all employers, 50 employees and under in the entire state. We were named to Inc. Magazine's best workplaces, the one and only financial services firm in the state of Illinois on that list. And then we also just made the Crane Chicago coolest office issue. So it's been quite the hat trick for us in 2022. Some of the things that this team does for our clients are on this list of capabilities. So not all clients engage us across the board here, but it's a very broad way that we might interact with clients. So enough of the introductions about Fairhaven. So Bobby, could you maybe take the group through how exactly this works?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to introduce myself briefly, my name is Bobby Sylvester. I'm the Director of School and Community Partnerships for Empower Illinois. And Empower Illinois is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that operates statewide in the state of Illinois. And we're headquartered in Chicago, but we're all over the place. So wherever you're tuning in from in the state of Illinois, I guarantee you we have some connection, some presence there. And we partner with the private schools in the state of Illinois to do or implement the tax credit scholarship program. And the tax credit scholarship program is a state law that allows us to raise $100 million every year to fund private school scholarships. And these scholarships go to families who live in Illinois, who are income qualified. But what makes it really interesting from certainly a tax perspective or financial planning perspective is the financial incentive that the state is providing for donations to this program. And in this case, it is a 75% state income tax credit. So what that means is for every dollar that you donate to a private school, your favorite or one that you hear about or a group of them, you get 75 cents off of your Illinois state taxes. And again, this is a credit, not a deduction. And I'll certainly let Mark talk about the difference. He's much more qualified on that part than I am. But what it means is for everyone in the state of Illinois, we're all paying, who's working, we're paying 4.95% of our income to the state in the form of an income tax. And now we're saying that a portion of that, or potentially all of that, can be sent to the private school of your choice to fund scholarships for low-income students who need the support to attend these schools. And so as the graphic on the screen shows, this is a tremendous way to quadruple your philanthropic contributions to a school. So in this example, Alexa, right, the old way to donate, she would pay the state of Illinois $750. She would donate $250 to her favorite school. So that's a net of $1,000 out of her pocket. Well, with the new way to donate through Empower Illinois, she's able to do all $1,000 to her favorite school. And because she gets a 75% credit on that donation, that's equivalent to her tax liability, she has wiped it out. And so she still sends $1,000 out the door, but it's all going to her favorite private school. So that's the potential of this program.
So when I heard this for the first time, and I guess I should also, for transparency purposes, I personally, I guess our family personally has already participated in this program. So we heard about it from Bobby and his team earlier this year, and we have already gone through the steps to make this happen. But what resonated with me when I first heard this was that $1,000 is leaving, in this example, $1,000 is leaving my checking account. So currently, $750 is going to the state of Illinois, $250 is going to, in our case, St. Francis High School down the street in here in Wheaton, Illinois. Not for tuition, that $250, but for charitable support of the organization. That taking advantage of the Invest in Kids Act and going through the Empower system, I could instead take that $750 away from the state of Illinois, give it to St. Francis instead, and still have that same $1,000 leaving my checking account, but zero out the state of Illinois and put it all to St. Francis. So what I was amazed at was that my net out-of-pocket number doesn't change, and I'm able to direct specifically to the school of my choice where that money goes. And it was those set of facts that I found frankly impossible to believe the first time I heard that. Bobby, could you walk through how do I go through the process of identifying what schools might qualify? How do I, if I participate in the program, how exactly I get the money that I put to work through the Invest in Kids Act to the school of my choice? And I guess to go through one more time, it doesn't go into some big blind pool that the Empower people decide what to do with. I'm in control of where that money goes. Could you walk through how that process works?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I do want to echo the point you were just making on control. This is entirely within each individual taxpayer's control on how to participate, or if they want to participate. And certainly we hope that you're interested and want to. But how much you can do. You can donate $100, or you could donate $10,000. It's really what works for you and for your tax situation. And certainly we encourage you to talk to your tax professional about what works for your situation. In terms of participating schools, so it's important to know that every school that in order to qualify under the Invest in Kids Act, each of these schools, private schools, has to be registered and recognized by the state of Illinois. So the state of Illinois is accrediting and qualifying all of these schools. So they are setting the standards, and our private schools are meeting those standards in order to participate in the program. And so, how does it work, or how does the donation process work? So since the credit is a state of Illinois credit, you have to use what's called My Tax Illinois. Many of you probably know about it and use it for your personal or business taxes. You can pay your taxes online through that system. But if you don't, you would have to get an account. It's a very simple process to request it, but it is an official government account. So they are going to physically mail you a security pin as the first step. So that's actually kind of the hardest part, is requesting it and then waiting for that letter. And certainly there's a time crunch there towards the end of the year, right? Because these credits are based on the calendar year on an annual basis. So if this sounds interesting and you're thinking about it, I would encourage you to take that first step and apply for your My Tax account as soon as possible. Once you get that letter, you create an account, you sign in, and the good news is you never need to do that again. So if you've already done that, or you already have an Illinois or My Tax Illinois personal account, you're good. You don't need to redo that step. Then you're able to go in and reserve your credits. And so you get to choose how much you're going to contribute. The state will give you 75% of that amount as a state income tax credit. And then on the third step is you take that certificate that they give you. It's called a CAC, or Certificate of Authorized Contribution. You take it to our website, empowerillinois.org, and you're able to go through the donation process, choose how you would like to donate. You can do ACH transfer from your bank account. You can do wire, you can do credit card, you can do stocks, check. And then you're able to specify which school or schools you want the money to go to. So you're not able to complete the donation process without telling us where the money goes. And the money is restricted for use at those schools per state law. So, you can feel absolutely confident that the money is going to the schools that you want it to. And certainly the schools have access to our Empower Exchange portal, so they can monitor their account with us in real time. So they'll be able to see what donations were made and who made them. If you don't know about the private schools, certainly, in your area and you're interested in this, we have a list on our website of participating schools or partner schools. You can also certainly just Google private schools in your area. We partner with over 90% of the private schools in the state. So there's a great chance that we already work with them. Or certainly you can contact me. I'll make sure that my contact information is in the chat. You can feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to connect you.
So Bobby, you mentioned a piece of this which I've forgotten. Again, I'm 6 months into to understanding all this, but that so donating securities. So maybe in a similar way from a financial planning perspective, if folks on the call might be familiar with how donor advised funds work. So donating appreciated securities, does that have the effect of avoiding paying capital gains taxes on gains that one might have? Those might be hard to come by this year. It's been a rough one, and it's been a rough one in the investment market. But going forward, does it work in a basically a similar way? You just donate the shares directly.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And yes, so if you donate appreciated securities, you are exempt from federal capital gains tax, since Empower Illinois is a 501c3 nonprofit. And so you're exempt from federal capital gains, and you are still able to claim the 75% state income tax credit for what the securities sell for on the market at the time of sale. So that's a tremendous benefit. And we definitely encourage people to take advantage of that if that's something that works for them and that they're able to do.
So when did this program start again, Bobby?
So this has been in place for 5 years now. So it passed in 2017 and it started operating in 2018. And I've been with Empower Illinois since 2018. And so we've grown this program tremendously. And the great thing is this is something that has been around for many years now. It enjoys bipartisan support with the Illinois General Assembly, so meaning Republicans and Democrats. We actually passed an improvement to the law this year, the Invest in Kids Act, unanimously. There's very few things that get passed unanimously these days, so we're very proud of that. And certainly the governor has been very supportive as well, recently announcing that he wants to see this program continue going forward. So we're very proud of the work we've done, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow this. And as you see on the screen, there's a lot of great numbers out there, and I think it's important to remember that behind these numbers are our kids, our families that are receiving this support. And I was just with a bunch of them the other day, and they're incredibly grateful. And I was talking to a mom, and she was saying, I never would have been able to send my kids to this fantastic private high school, in her case, if I did not get the scholarship. So I think that that's really crucial to underscore as well, that this really is philanthropic and charitable, and that you're helping provide opportunities for families that would not have them unless people were donating.
Yeah, yeah. So as you can sniff out from the slide, that was a softball that I teed up for Bobby. I knew the answer to the question. But as impressive as those numbers are, public math is always a little bit dangerous. But I think this raised statewide number covers a period of 3 years. Or is that
4 years?
see, public math is always dangerous. Lucky I'm not in a business that requires a knowledge of numbers. So 4 years. So, and it's $100 million per year that's been made available by the state of Illinois.
Yes.
So that math I think I can do. That 4 times 100 is 400 million. So $250 million is a massive number, but a ton was left on the table, which right? I'm getting the
Yeah.
yeah.
So your math is right there.
to me that says nothing other than just a lack of understanding, a lack of awareness of the program. And I will speak for myself. That was entirely the reason my family did not participate in this program until just this year. So I asked earlier, but I want to ask again for anybody that's participating in this, gets a copy of the program afterwards, please pass it along to everybody in your network. I'd say just raising awareness of this program and its power with again not an extra dollar leaving your checking account in order to make this happen. To me, it's just an absolute no-brainer for anybody that's got a warm spot in their heart for a private K through 12 school in Illinois and pays Illinois income taxes.
Yeah.
So we've got a one-pager. Bobby, you ran through the process, I think, very well about how to make it happen. It is more complicated than just writing a check to Bobby. That's not gonna get it done. So you do need to go through a certain set of steps. We've got a one-page fact sheet that we're going to distribute after the presentation. But what have we missed, Bobby, in what people need to know? I think I feel like we've covered it. But what are you feeling like we've missed anything?
Well, so just to go back on the math of, like, we've had it for 4 years, we've only raised 257 million. So the good news is, or maybe the bad news for donors who are not involved yet, is we've grown every year. And so this year we're actually anticipating on that 100 million that we'll get into the 80 or even $90 million range. And based on our projections, that means in 2023, we could very likely run out of credits, which means at that point, you would not be able to contribute to the program, even if you wanted to. And so this is definitely something that if you're interested in, it's better to set up the account and get involved now, and encourage your family and friends to as well, so that, when there's only so many of these credits to go around, that you have the opportunity to participate in the program. I think just, one or two other things to mention, just because the questions come up a lot. There is no minimum donation. The maximum per year is $1.33 million for $1 million tax credit. Businesses or corporations can participate in the program. However, there is a crucial difference. Businesses or corporations can only give to a general regional pot. So like Region 1, for example, is Cook County. So if you're a business, you could decide, hey, I want to support the private schools in Cook County, and you get the same 75% state income tax credit. You would not be able to designate to the school. Individuals can. So again, if you're thinking about this, a lot of schools, they're going to ask you to give as an individual because you'll be able to direct it specifically to them. And you can also give multiple times throughout the year. That's something that people ask, if I don't want to save up all year, I just want to make payments over the course of the year, you can. I'd also throw out for anyone who is doing quarterly payments, So I'll use my father's example. He's a small business owner. He pays quarterly estimated taxes. You could do quarterly estimated donations to the program. And as long as you're, working with your tax professional, making sure all the paperwork's done correctly, you can just make donations instead of sending the payment into the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
So that's a tremendous way to give as well.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So when next year rolls around, there's still time for people to participate this year. But let's say you got to 100 this year. Is it starting in 2020, the beginning of 2023? Is because I participated this year, do I have a spot reserved next year, or is it just first come, first serve, and when the 100's used up, it's gone?
Yeah, so it's first come, first serve, and it's annual. So everything resets on January 1. So certainly, my wife and I give personally to this program as well. So we made our 2022 donation. We will be making our 23 donation. And that's 2 different tax years. So you can certainly, if you want to, if you're new and you're really motivated, you could give December 31st, 2022, reduce or eliminate your Illinois tax liability for 2022, and then give again on January 1, 2023, reduce or eliminate your 2023 tax liability. And just one other thing, just as I was thinking, the credits are good for 5 years. So from the year that you donate, those credits are good for 5 years, and they carry if you were to overshoot. So let's just say you donate $10,000, gets you a 75% credit of 7,500. Your tax liability is 5,000. That 2,500 that's left over would carry to the next year. So you don't lose it if you overshoot.
So I just got a note from somebody asking about out-of-state programs. So I understand Empower, from the name Empower Illinois, is probably just focused on Illinois. Are you aware of do other states have programs like this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there are 36 states that have some type of program like this. The structure depends on each state. So for example, I was a Catholic school teacher at one point in Florida. They have 100% state tax credit, but since Florida does not have income tax, it's for corporations. And so they raise over $1 billion every year to fund tax credit scholarships in Florida, but it's all giving from the corporate level. Arizona has 50% tax credit. So you get 100% credit up to 50% of your tax liability as an individual. Missouri just implemented something like that recently. It passed a year or 2 ago. Yes, there are other programs out there that are very similar.
So I got another question about the qualification for scholarships at the school. Is that school by school, or is that a standardized profile? And this is a lengthy question, and if a particular school doesn't use the money that they might get from Empower in one's calendar year, does that carry over? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So the qualification for our scholarships, the scholarships writ large is set by the Invest in Kids Act, which strictly says you have to reside in the state of Illinois, number 1, and then 2, you have to meet the income qualifications by household size. So for family of 4, just to give you an idea, that's $80,000 a year or less. And again, that fluctuates, meaning if you have fewer people, it's less. If you have more people, it's more. But that's the qualification at the program level. Now, the private schools still retain control over their admissions. So each student has to apply to and be admitted by the private schools that they apply to. And so those obviously vary by school. So as an example, right, there's a great school here in Chicago that we work very closely with. It's called Chicago Academy for the Arts. It is a world-class arts institution. However, you have to get through a very, very selective process in order for you to join the school, right? You have to show extreme talent in music or dance or something like that. Not very common, but again, the students can get our scholarships to go there, but they have to meet the qualifications of the school. Can you remind me, Mark, what was the second part of the question?
So yeah, the second part was if scholarship money that Empower sends to a particular school goes unused, what happens to that money?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, it's just going to roll over. The only reason I don't say 100% is because we at Empower Illinois are required by the Invest in Kids Act to expend funds. So meaning we are not allowed to just raise money and then sit on it. We have to get money out the door. And so what that means is if a school, let's just say one school, for example, was to raise $10 million, right? They would have to have the students to use that, or we would potentially run into a problem where we're not expending the required percentage that the state mandates Empower Illinois to do. And so in that scenario, we might have to go to some of those donors and say, hey, there's other great schools. Would you be willing to shift your donation there? Or in a lot of cases, our schools are part of a school system. So I'll just use St. Francis, Mark, since you're familiar with that.
Right.
St. Francis is part of the Diocese of Joliet. And so funds would go from St. Francis to the Diocese of Joliet Catholic school system. So it would fund other Catholic school students within the system. But again, it's a very rare situation. And this year we are not going to be, we've expended so much of we've basically expended everything that came in. So we're good. So we're not moving any funds, even if the schools raise way more than they need. We'll just carry it to the next year and use it to award scholarships for students next year.
Okay, good. This one's direct, Bobby. So how does Empower Illinois make money?
Yeah, great question. So built into the Invest in Kids Act is a 5% admin fee. So Empower Illinois or any other scholarship granting organization that does this work gets a 5% admin fee. And so that's just strictly built into the law. And so what that means is, so for example, let's say you donate $100, $5 goes to Empower Illinois for us to run and award and implement the program. And the other 95 goes directly to your school. So it's a 5% admin fee, and the schools see that in the portal. So they'll see the donation, and then they'll see the 5% fee that they lose to the SGO. You as the donor still get the 75% state income tax credit on the entire amount. So great question.
All right, that is, make sure, no, that we are addressing it. We're addressing all the questions. Super. Well, we are, I think we're coming up on our usual target, which is try and keep this wrapped up in about 30 minutes. Bobby, I love the stuff that your organization's done. Thank you for educating me and getting me up to speed. Thanks for joining us tonight and sharing some of the story. Again, we're going to share the one pager on how to take advantage of the program. Bobby, if people would prefer, if they're uncomfortable talking directly with us and they prefer to talk directly with you, how do they best get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, Mark, I want to really thank you and the Fairhaven team for working with us on this. We're very grateful to your leadership and certainly for helping to spread the word. And just as a last plug, I wanted to show a new tool, and apologies, I should have given it to you earlier, but we're really excited about it because a lot of people are wondering, well, how much can I give? How, like this math, like can I just put my income in there somewhere and it just tells me? So we created a calculator, a tax calculator, so you can put in your and your partner's AGI or anticipated income, and it'll calculate for you your Illinois state tax liability and then show you what you could potentially donate, what it would cost you, and the amount that will go to the school. So it's really a handy tool. I just put it in the chat. I would encourage people to use it and share it. And then I will also put my information in the chat. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about the program or answer any questions or concerns that you may have. But again, just very grateful, Mark, for you and your team for the opportunity.
Not at all. So while you're typing that in, I think that's fantastic that you've got that tool out there. I will say that the financial advisor in me can't help but say, love all the stuff that Empower and Bobby does. It's as it relates to taxes, it's always a good idea just to double check this stuff with whoever your tax advisor might be, just
Absolutely.
as a belts and suspenders approach. So nothing bad meant towards the Empower Illinois folks. Just a good financial planning,
Absolutely.
step.
We echo that. We are not tax professionals, so we encourage you to connect with your tax professional or CPA for the best tax advice.
Super, Bobby. Thanks again, my man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. And again, we'll distribute a recording and help us spread the word.
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thanks, Bobby.